We book a trip. We trust the reviews. It all feels safe, until we remember we are sleeping in a stranger's house. My story begins with a trip to a small coastal town. The air was thick with salt and the distant sound of waves crashing against the cliffs. I remember the way the sunlight danced on the water as I drove in, the town almost too quiet, as if holding its breath. I was traveling alone, eager for a break from the chaos of city life, not knowing what waited for me. The town felt like a postcard, but there was something about the empty streets and shuttered windows that made me uneasy, even before I met my host. I found a small cottage on Airbnb. It was listed by a man named Michael, with hundreds of positive reviews. The photos showed a cozy, sunlit space, and the reviews called him the perfect host. I felt reassured, but a small voice in the back of my mind wondered if things could really be that perfect. I scrolled through the listing again and again, studying every detail, searching for anything out of place. But everything looked inviting, almost too inviting. I arrived on a sunny afternoon. The cottage was just as advertised. The garden was overgrown but charming, and the air inside smelled faintly of lavender and old wood. I set my bags down, feeling a strange mix of relief and anticipation. The interior was filled with sunlight, but shadows lingered in the corners. I noticed a single chair by the window facing out toward the sea, as if someone had just been sitting there. Michael met me at the door. He was exactly like his picture. "If you need anything, just text me," he said. His smile was polite, but his eyes lingered a little too long, as if memorizing my face. I felt a chill but brushed it off as nerves. As he handed me the keys, his fingers brushed mine. The contact was brief, but it left me unsettled. I unpacked my bags. For the first time in months, I felt completely safe. I was so wrong. The silence in the cottage was heavy, broken only by the distant call of seagulls. I tried to relax, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced at the windows, half expecting to see someone peering in from the garden, but there was nothing, just the wind moving the curtains. The first text came that evening. It seemed normal. I replied that everything was great. But as I set my phone down, I noticed the time, just after midnight. Why was he checking in so late? I stared at the glowing screen, my own reflection staring back at me, feeling a prickle of discomfort. A few hours later, another text. It was strange. How did he know I wasn't already on the back porch? My heart pounded as I reread the message, trying to convince myself it was just a coincidence. I walked to the back door and peered out into the darkness, every shadow suddenly alive with possibility. But the texts kept coming. "I saw you went for a walk. Your car window is down." He was watching me. I started to feel trapped, every movement monitored, every moment cataloged. I began to check the locks on every door and window, my hands shaking as I moved from room to room. The cottage no longer felt like a sanctuary. It felt like a cage. The walls seemed to close in, and every creak of the floorboards made me jump. I sat on the edge of the bed, clutching my phone, afraid to turn off the lights. The final straw came on the third night. My phone lit up. "That's a scary movie. Hope you're not too frightened to sleep alone." My blood ran cold. I hadn't told anyone what I was watching. I scanned the room, searching for hidden cameras, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts. I froze. The TV was facing away from any windows, unless he was inside. I felt the weight of unseen eyes on me, every instinct screaming to run. My hands trembled as I grabbed my keys, my heart pounding so loudly I thought it might give me away. I grabbed my keys and ran. As I sped away, my phone buzzed again. One word. Goodbye. I didn't look back. The town faded in my rearview mirror, and I promised myself I would never trust a perfect listing again. My girlfriend Chloe and I wanted a romantic getaway. We were drawn to a beautiful old Victorian house perched high in the misty mountains, its gables sharp against the gray sky. The house looked like something out of a forgotten photograph. Grand, but with a sadness clinging to its walls. As we pulled up the winding drive, the air felt colder, heavier, as if the house itself was watching us arrive. Inside, the house was filled with dark wood floors that creaked under our feet, a grand staircase spiraling upward, and a fireplace that flickered with a strange, restless light. Antique mirrors lined the hallway, their surfaces clouded and warped. The host, Eleanor, left a handwritten note on the entry table. "Please respect the house. It has many stories." The words felt like a warning, not a welcome. That first night, as rain tapped against the stained glass windows, we heard a soft, tinkling melody drifting from upstairs. It was the unmistakable sound of a music box, playing somewhere down the long, dark hallway. The tune was sweet, but it echoed with something mournful, almost pleading. Shadows seemed to move just beyond the reach of the lamplight, and the air grew colder with every note. Later that night, I woke shivering, my breath visible in the icy air. The room felt impossibly cold, as if something unseen had slipped in. I reached for Chloe, but her side of the bed was empty, and the sheets were freezing to the touch. My heart pounded as I called her name, but only silence answered. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. Chloe was standing at the far wall, her back to me, her hand slowly scratching at the faded wallpaper. The beam of light caught her face in the old mirror. Her eyes were wide, unfocused, and her lips moved in a silent whisper. The wallpaper beneath her nails peeled away, revealing strange, childlike drawings underneath. Her eyes were blank, unfocused. "He's in the walls," she whispered. "He's cold. He wants to get out." Her voice sounded distant, as if echoing from somewhere deep inside the house. For a moment, I thought I saw a shadow flicker behind her in the mirror, gone as quickly as it appeared. The second night was worse. The music box played again, but this time the melody was warped, slower, echoing from a locked room downstairs. Then came a slow, heavy thudding, like footsteps dragging across the floorboards. The lights flickered, and the air felt thick with dread. We clung to each other, barely breathing. It sounded like someone was trying to break down the door from the inside. We didn't wait. We ran. As we sped away in the rain, I glanced back at the house. In an upstairs window, a pale face stared out at us. A child's face, eyes hollow and unblinking. For a split second, I thought I saw a second shadowy figure behind it, waving slowly. Then the window went dark and the house disappeared into the mist. This happened to my brother Mark. He was on a business trip in a big city, the kind where the lights never go out and the streets echo with distant sirens. Mark always liked the energy of cities, but this time something felt different. His company booked him a modern loft in a renovated warehouse. The place was huge with high ceilings, exposed brick, and big windows overlooking the city. The living room was open and airy, but the hallways felt strangely narrow and shadowed at night. Mark settled into a routine, morning coffee by the window, late nights catching up on work. But every time he walked past the bathroom, he felt a chill, as if the air was heavier there. One night, while brushing his teeth, he noticed something odd. The bathroom mirror was thick, sticking out from the wall more than it should. He leaned in, frowning, and ran his fingers along the edge, feeling a faint draft. He tapped on the mirror. It made a hollow sound, echoing in the small room. There was space behind it. Mark's heart started to race. He pressed on the side of the mirror, and it shifted slightly, as if on hidden hinges. The mirror swung open with a quiet creak. Behind it was a narrow, pitch-black space. Mark hesitated, then shone his phone's flashlight inside. The beam revealed a cramped, hidden room, barely big enough to crawl into. Inside, there was a stained mattress on the floor, a dirty pillow, and piles of old food wrappers. The air was stale and cold. Mark's skin crawled as he realized someone had been living there, just a thin wall away from where he slept. He backed away, heart pounding, and slammed the mirror shut. Every shadow in the loft now seemed to move. Mark grabbed his phone and called the rental company, barely able to keep his voice steady. Security and police arrived quickly. They searched the hidden room and confirmed everything. There was evidence someone had been living there recently, but the person was gone. They must have slipped out while Mark was making the call. The biggest question Mark asks himself, what if he hadn't found the room? He would have stayed 3 nights, never knowing a stranger was watching him from behind the glass. Sometimes the scariest things are the ones hidden in plain sight. These stories are more than campfire tales. They are cautionary accounts of what happens when our trust is misplaced, We rely on digital profiles and positive reviews to protect us. But behind that digital curtain, human nature remains unpredictable. So as you plan your next trip, remember these accounts. Always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Because when you turn that key and step across the threshold, you're entering a world you do not know. And you can never be certain of what or who is waiting for you on the other side of the door. Be careful out there. The world is full of rooms, and not all of them are empty.